Hey, maybe your managers aren't the only ones that should be taking more of a coach approach. And when I point one finger at you, there's three pointing right back at me. I always thought that was a funny saying. So, hey, I wanted to capture your attention for a couple of minutes here because if you're working in leadership development, too often, you're facing the knowing doing gap. The training happens and the behaviors don't change, among your leaders. Every week we get calls at LEADx. Hey, we did a full day program on grow coaching and they're still not grow coaching. Hey, in our new manager boot camp, we did an afternoon session on giving effective feedback and they're still not giving effective feedback. Or we did an employee engagement survey and people got their results. They need to give more recognition. They need to be a better visionary leader, and they're not doing those things. It's not that learning is bad. It's that learning is insufficient for behavior change. So I'm humbly challenging all of us to do thought exercises, to take a coach approach when you think about the topic, the competency, the behavior that you're trying to impact. So, for example, Stanford's Dr. B.J. Fogg, psychologist, he talks about behavior change recipes. And that's a powerful idea. It's something we sort of model here at LEADx. What would an executive, we can't afford to give every manager their own executive coach, but what are coaching-like experiences? What's in the toolbox of executive coaches that we can use as part of our programs? And so instead of thinking like, oh, we want our managers to take more of a coach approach, we want them to do more coaching, be less directive. Instead of thinking automatically, okay, what's a training program we can go buy or deliver? What's the agenda of the training program? What's the topics in the training program? Or even what are the breakout exercises in the training program? Think holistically, like what would a coach do in the spirit of taking what are recipes? How can you bake in these activities? These are some common ones we use at LEADx. So for example, commitment. Commitment is a great way to kick off. It's an activity where it's really asking someone, okay, what are the benefits that are gonna occur for you, for your career, for your team, for your company, if you get better at this thing? What are the challenges you're going to embark on as you try to get better at it? Usually people say, I'm too busy for the training. I'm too busy to apply it or whatever. So what are the benefits? What are the challenges? What are steps you can take right now to plan to overcome those challenges, to commit to the journey? Measurement is a great one. Boy, will that capture my attention. It's not just, hey, Kevin, we want you to be do a better job with grow coaching your team. But what if I did a self-assessment in this area? Okay, what are all the components of coaching and how am I doing in that? Hey, what about, say, delegation? I know I'm a great delegator. Ooh, now I'm doing the self-assessment. I didn't know there were 4 steps to delegation. I'm really only doing 2 of them. So there's this awareness, this motivation that happens from measurement. Better than self-assessment, of course, would be like a 180 survey. All right. What are your team members telling you about this area we want you to get better in? That really captures your attention. Self-awareness is a great activity, obviously a powerful, coaching activity. I'm supposed to get better at giving effective feedback. Well, as a manager, my personality, I'm highly agreeable. I'm conflict avoidant. So I feel uncomfortable. I'm probably withholding feedback. Or, you know what? My agreeableness is low. I'm more of a challenger. So I need to realize I'm probably giving feedback all the time, but it's too blunt. It's landing, too harshly. So self-awareness is really that gets to the mindset, the limiting beliefs. Why am I not taking more of a coach approach? Do I think it takes too much time? Why am I not giving recognition? Do I think, people don't care? What is it that's impacting my behaviors? Learning, of course, it's not that it's wrong. It's that it's insufficient. But when you think about learning as an activity, what's the right way to do the learning, to do the knowledge transfer for this topic? Is it a 1-hour, webinar? Is it a 2-day live workshop, in-person workshop? Or as Josh Burson says, Everyone says they're so busy, et cetera. Is it more about learning in the flow of work? Is it more about micro learning? When you think about learning, do you want to do the learning up front and then add all these activities for pull through? Or do you want to do a flipped classroom? Let's do all these activities and then do some sort of learning, towards the end. So these are things to think about the learning activity differently. What about practice? I'm from Philadelphia, so any Allen Iverson fans out there, practice. What are we talking about? But yeah, it's okay. Hey, you're going to learn to grow coach. Maybe you can practice it with on your family members. Maybe you could practice it, with your colleagues or with peers before doing it with your direct reports. Kim Scott, Radical Candor, she has a great thing about effective feedback. You don't just dive in and start giving people critical feedback. It's like, all right, you know what? For the first few weeks, I'm just going to ask for feedback, get the culture right, get people comfortable talking about feedback. Then I'm just going to give positive feedback. Recognition is just, when done right, is positive feedback. So I practice the structure and, again, that feedback culture, get people used to it. Only then do I then start to do critical feedback, constructive feedback. So think about practice as a component of the exercise. Social support, building in activities. Hey, talk to your boss about this thing. Talk to your team members about, hey, I'm going to focus on doing a better job of giving you candid feedback so that you can grow and develop in your career. I'm going to try to take more of a coach approach and not just answer your questions and solve your problems. Is it social support with peer circles? Lots of ways to do that. Very underutilized. Plan and schedule. Not everything has to be a learning activity or even a doing or a practice. Sometimes it's structural. Kevin, we want you to do a better job of giving recognition. Okay, maybe I need to schedule 15 minutes on my calendar, time block 15 minutes for recognition to think about who helped me out this week, who did a great job this week. Let me jot, some thank you notes or send out some emails. Maybe it's I'm trying to do a better job of visionary leadership. So I'm going to add to the agenda of our weekly team meetings, talking about strategy, mission, vision, values, whatever that might be, or grow coaching. All right, am I really keeping my one-on-one weekly or bi-weekly meetings, or have I been bumping those? Did I pause them over the summer for some reason? So think about schedule activities. And of course, very powerful, also underused, reflection. At LEADx, we often will end these coaching journeys, these micro action journeys, with a reflection. What did you learn through this experience? What are new habits? That's what we really want, behavior change. What new habits have you developed from this experience? How has it impacted your team? What will you do to make this sticky moving forward? What are your plans to anchor this and to support yourself moving forward? What questions do you still have about this topic? So this reflection exercise is really powerful. And then to bring this into more, focus. So the big message is, when you think about leadership development, you're talking about behaviors which don't just change once that knowledge has happened. So kind of think like a coach. That's the big picture. And then there's reality. So look, it generally takes 57 days to make or break a habit. So we like people to focus on one thing for a full quarter. All right, we're going to spend 12 freaking weeks on grow coaching or feedback or accountability or agility. Most companies won't do that. Most teams don't have that luxury. So let's just even say it's one topic for a month. Well, then you can assemble your cards. You can say, this is your recipe. It's like, okay, maybe we're going to start with a self-awareness piece. Do some reflection about how your personality, your styles are impacting this area. Most people through personality as leaders, we have more of a pull or a push style and more of a supportive or a directive style. So that can start to get at some of our natural behaviors. So maybe that's the week one activity. Maybe week two is learn now how to use the 4-step grow coaching model or the 3-part SBI feedback model or whatever it might be. Maybe then the third recipe card, the third week is practice it. And then, as I mentioned, maybe the fourth activity is reflect. So instead of just thinking like, oh, we need to do more coaching, we need to take more of a coach approach. let's put people in this grow coaching thing. Let's buy a training program. The vendor shows up, they do it, and they bolt. It's on you now. Instead, just pause and say, okay, there's going to be a learning piece, but what would a coach do? What are coaching toolkit items that we can use and make like a recipe for behavior change? Think about micro actions, not just micro learning, and then assemble it in the 4 weeks, the 12 weeks, the 52 weeks that becomes your canvas. Anyway, long story short, thanks for playing along. The big picture, the big message again that I'm trying to challenge you with is you're thinking about leadership development and your primary focus is on these training things. When I talk about 3-to-1, as a learning model, it's really a behavior change model. It's saying, hey, for every one learning activity, have at least 3 of these doing activities. You want it to be more about the doing and less about the learning. Hey, let me know what you think. Drop a note in the comments or just reach out to me, kevin@leadx.org. I love hearing what leadership development professionals are doing to shape culture and leadership behaviors, and look forward to chatting with you in person one day. Thanks.